Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Duck, who is going to be the first ever Telltale Duck to make it into RTS. This is of course Kenny's son from the game. It is awesome to see a new character from the Telltale series make it into the game, and he is also going to be the Battle Pass reward character for Mythic Battle Pass Season 11. We can just check out the animation. He has got that P90 in his hands, and he's shooting it one-handed. You can see him doing like 360s, the amount of recoil he's going to get off that. In the other hand, he has got that army figurine, as you can see on the left-hand side, looking a little bit more angry here, and that endless clip that he's got on the P90, just non-stop shooting, never has to reload. If you've ever played an FPS game with a P90, and you know that this is kind of like a crazy gun, but you do eventually have to reload. If we check out the stats, as a level 720 limit break 3 character, he has got 20,228 attack, 12,642 defense, and 17,700 HP. He's of course an alert character, considered a support character, pretty decent attack for a support character, mythic character of course, and he is yet another character to join the Telltale Season 1 Allegiance, making him the third character out of the 6 we know so far to be joining this group. And as he is an alert character, it is quite like father, like son in this scenario. I kind of like that idea. So first up, we'll check out Duck's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Child's Play. You can see it's got a shield as the icon with a bullet going through it. It should be a giveaway. Make 2 attacks of 300% damage, 600% total, against 2 enemies each. Up to 2 enemies get minus 50% defense for 2 turns. So we'll break this down. The first half is looking quite on theme with the other Telltale characters we've seen so far. Multiple attacks against multiple enemies. These guys are just going to be hitting a lot of characters all at the same time, multiple attacks, and the fact that obviously with Clementine lead you can crit all of these guaranteed off the first 3 turns. Lots of crits are going to be coming in as well. Up to 2 enemies getting minus 50% defense is awesome. It means you can just set up his teammates with this rush, particularly at the moment Kenny, because obviously Kenny does a lot of damage, but with 50% defense down, it's going to be even crazier. Even crazier. That being said, Duck should still do quite a lot of damage himself. It won't be on the same levels as Kenny just because he's not going to have the same attack boost and he is seen as more of a support character. But those attacks can crit and will crit, like I said, if you do have Clementine in the same team. Okay, so here we are on the rush turn for Duck. And we have got Clementine as the leader, so there's going to be a lot of crits here. We're just going to target the stunned character because why not? And we want to see if that defense down still happens on characters even after we take out other characters. And as you can see, well, I did say he maybe doesn't do too much damage, but he does actually do pretty decent damage, all things considered. And you can see the minus 50% defense is going to be on the surviving characters. This is obviously really good. This means that if he does manage to take someone out, there is going to be much easier takedowns for his teammates. Now you can see the people that he did take out are in a certain type of mode right now. They are decapped, as you could say. We'll check out that part of his kit later on, but that is going to be very beneficial for himself and other characters in the team. Now if we look at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 2 it gets the AP cost reduced to 66, so originally it's going to be around the 75 mark. At grade 4 it gets an upgrade where 2 enemies get minus 25% defense for 2 turns. At limit break 1 it gets 100% damage per attack boosted, so it goes from 200% for 2 attacks, 400% total, to 300% for 2 attacks, 600% total. And then at limit break 3 that it gets an additional 25% defense down, so it goes to minus 50% defense down for 2 turns instead of minus 25% defense down. That is actually pretty big change, but even 25% defense down is going to be pretty decent against these teams that have got like 150k defense some of the time. It's going to be actually pretty useful no matter, regardless of what sort of defense down he's going to bring. But 50% obviously is going to be much nicer, much nicer indeed. Now I don't mind this Adrenaline Rush too much. I think it is actually pretty nice. It really depends on how you want to set up Duck. Do you want to set him up as an actual damage dealer? Because I guess he could have some potential. With Clementine in the team, he's going to get much more damage output because he's going to hit those crits. Because of her passive, Telltale characters will hit crits. So you could actually go a bit more offensive with his kit. But if you do have like him and Kenny in the same team, you can rely on Kenny for the actual takedowns and just make Duck a little bit more defensive for the survivability to actually be able to get in these attacks, and maybe build him a bit more crit base to utilize other parts of his kit. Like I say, we'll get into that later, but him hitting crits is going to be quite nice, especially against certain characters, just to have a better chance to have any characters that you do actually take out to not be picked back up again. Now, before we move on to that part of his kit, we will check out his signature move. It has an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 1 turn, number of uses unlimited, and it is remove 50% of the target's current bonus HP, attack the enemy 3 times for 150% damage, 450% total. Now, I've got mixed feelings on this signature move, and it's just because I'm not a big fan of percentage reduction on bonus HP. It's only good in one situation, and that is if someone has really high bonus HP. It's not very good if they have low bonus HP. I would obviously prefer either just complete removal of bonus HP from one target, or flat reduction from a target. So for instance, 20,000 bonus HP removal, or remove 100% of that target's bonus HP. And the reason I prefer like flat reduction is because a lot of the time I figure that the amount of bonus HP they want this to be limited to is probably around 25 to 30,000 on a character that has 50,000 normal HP to 60,000 normal HP. If they had 100% bonus HP, you'd be removing around 30,000 bonus HP. It's just against characters with 10,000 bonus HP, this is doing like nothing. 5,000 bonus HP removal. Where if it was flat, it would still be pretty powerful against the low amounts of bonus HP. But however, the second part does kind of make up for it. It does do a lot of attacks. You attack a character 3 times, 450% isn't that bad at all. And if they have bonus HP, they've generally got normal health as well, and it's quite high. And you can utilize certain weapons to make this actually do amplified damage. And I will say, Duck's attached weapon will make this signature move do a lot more damage. Now, I won't be doing these attacks with Duck's attached weapon. I'm going to do them with a different weapon. Just we'll show you an attached weapon a little bit later. But if you see these characters have very little amounts of bonus HP, when I do this signature move against them, it's going to remove like nothing when it comes to the bonus HP. But it's going to rely purely on the actual attacks, which will still be decent. As you can see, the bonus HP removal was, I don't even know. It doesn't even say. But you can see the 3 separate attacks came in. And it's going to be nice because of obviously certain parts of his kit. If he's going around finishing characters off, he can obviously be decapping these characters at the same time. Any follow-ups that come in afterwards will obviously be a decap because of the way his kit works. But his damage output is not really going to be the main part of it. He's a support character, and it's what he's adding. But this damage of this little signature move here could actually be really, really good. And like I say, when we'll look at how amplified it can get based on the attached weapon, you'll see the damage output is going to be drastically increased. Now, if we check out the upgrades on Duck's signature move, you can see that grade 3, it gets -1 to cooldown, so it goes from 2 turns down to 1 turn. That isn't super important. 1 or 2 turn cooldown is obviously great. Grade 5, it goes from -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes from a turn 2 starting cooldown down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. This is obviously really good. Turn 1, being able to use it straight away. If there are any characters with bonus HP off the first turn, you are going to be obviously reducing that. Characters like, for instance, Andre do start the fight with significant amounts of bonus HP, and this will counter Davy to a certain extent if you have your Davy set up to actually get bonus HP off of turn 1. So you can get a takedown on someone like Kenny nice and early, and that way you can get his specialist skill to actually proc and give you another turn and the bonus AP. That's the kind of like first turn usage I can see here. At Limit Break 2, you'll see it does get the upgrade, and this is where you get the 50% bonus HP reduction come in. So you will need to get this character up to LB2, and I believe if the battle pass is going to be structured the same as previous battle passes, it will take obviously the purchase of the key to be able to get the character to LB2 nice and quick. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on the character dropping out the gold mythic wheel in the future. But that is probably not the most important part of his kit when it comes to the damage, but it will set up other characters nicer. Like I say, there's certain situations where it's actually going to be quite important. Now, Duck, of course, has those mythic abilities. These are his passive skills. He is a support character, so he is going to get Cunning, where he is 30% less likely to trigger weapon effects when he's attacking somebody, and also when he's being attacked. This is mainly going to be when he's attacking people, because he can like attack someone with stun on defense, for instance, and it's less likely to proc. You can attack someone with like impair on defense, and it's less likely to proc. But that is actually kind of nice. It will also work against walkers on roadmaps, I believe. And then in the next one, it's comic book knowledge. This character gets 40% trait damage against tough and strong targets. That's particularly good against strong targets just because he is alert, and that means his damage output against strong characters can be so massively amplified. Really, really nice there. The tough targets isn't as big a deal, but it is going to be nice against these tanky teams if you do intend to use a Telltale squad against those tanky, tough teams, and Duck will just do more damage against these characters with huge amounts of defense and pretty decent HP as well. If we look at the next passives, the next one's called Sharp Eyes. When attacking an enemy with camouflage, this character gets 120% attack. This kind of reminds me of Decap Michonne, who gets bonuses against characters that have heal over time. And hers goes up to, I think, 160%. She is a damage dealer, so I would expect it to go higher. But this is actually kind of nuts. 120% attack boost. And the fact that all of his stuff can crit just means it's going to amplify the base damage before it goes into the crit damage. The numbers could rack up here, especially with that amplified damage on the comic book knowledge passive against tough and strong targets. If they've got camo, particularly teams like Typhoon, could be in a lot of trouble. The last one is called Hero's Tale and is a Telltale Allegiance buff. At the start of each turn, 100% chance all Telltale Season 1 teammates recover from bleed. This is kind of needed, a kind of standard, and we haven't seen any like characters to remove bleed in any way from Telltale so far. So it is going to be Duck, so it does mean that the chance of a character like Zachary being an issue is not going to be a bigger problem. But these teams with Priya and Mr. Jones on them are going to have burn and bleed and stuff like this, and then this is going to actually be able to remove a big part of that. You know, being able to remove bleed against these tough teams is going to be nice and make that less of an issue for sure. Now, when we get into the fight, just to show you the passives, this is basically how the attack verse is going to work. He doesn't have any mods on him to give him any attack bonuses right now. But if I select the alert character, you can see no one's getting the up arrows next to their avatar to show they do trait damage here. But let me just select the tough character. And now you'll see Clementine gets it because she is fast, but so does Duck. But Duck's is blue, and this normally notifies you that it's the actual mods that's going to be doing this additional damage. But it's actually his passives, and it will stack with mods if you want to as well. You could do attack versus tough on Duck and double down. So effectively, he is almost like a fast character as well in terms of the trait damage he's going to be do as a little bonus here, which is kind of nice in terms of his damage output. He's doing damage against the characters that will do damage against him, which is, like I say, is interesting. So we'll just go straight into the upgrades on his passives, and you can see that at grade 1 he gets Comic Book Knowledge Part 1, and that is 20% trait damage against tough and strong targets. At grade 2 he gets the first half of Cunning, which is the 15% less likely to trigger weapon effects. At grade 3 he's going to get the second half of Comic Book Knowledge, and this goes up to 40% trait damage against strong and tough, which is obviously nice. At grade 4 he gets the first half of Sharp Eyes. When attacking an enemy with camouflage, he gets 60% attack, and that is nice just in itself. At grade 5, he gets the first half of Hero's Tale, and at the start of each turn, 50% chance all Telltale Season 1 teammates recover from bleed. So this is obviously risky business to have him at grade 5, but he has got a 50% chance of clearing it. It is obviously more ideal that he has it at 100%, which he will get with the part 2. But first off, we'll go to Limit Break 1, where the second half of Cunning comes in, making it a 30% total. At Limit Break 2, he comes in with Sharp Eyes Part 2, and it goes up to 120% attack against camouflage targets, which is going to be nice. And then lastly, it's Hero's Tale Part 2, making it a 100% chance that he will cleanse all Telltale Season 1 characters from bleed, which is obviously a big deal. Bleed can be a massive problem, regardless of whether it's Zachary or any character that has bleed on the defense team. You know, your characters will get drained really quick. So overall, I think his passives are okay. I don't think they're like spectacular for a support character. The Hero's Tale is the only real supporting one. The rest, he's kind of just getting boosts for himself when it comes to his damage output, which is interesting. I don't necessarily think that is what Telltale needed, But it is what it is. You know, they're going to do more damage through Duck, which is not a terrible thing, but you don't have to necessarily utilize Duck on a Telltale team. He has got other parts of his kit which are interesting, so they can obviously be used there. When it comes to his damage boosts, they're not actually too bad. And his base attack stat is decent enough that, you know, the starting block's already there. So this is just going to boost what is already not too bad at all. Now, the last part of his main kit that we're going to look at is his special skill, and I like this a lot because he is an alert character, and this is something I have talked about for a couple of months, honestly, on my stream. The missing piece on a lot of alert teams is the potential to decap, and Duck is coming in as that character. He has got Headhunter as a special skill. If this character performs a critical hit on a target, the target gets crosshairs for 3 turns. Now, obviously, if a character gets taken out when they've got crosshairs on them, they are decapped and they cannot be revived back up. Now, there is some resistances in the game to stop this actually from landing, and there is also some characters out there like Mr. Jones, who even if you land Headhunter, they can't get decapped based on their special skill unless they get normalized first. So there are, you know, a couple of counters out there for sure, but this is very useful, especially against characters like Vance. While you may not be able to decap him because he generally will have this as a resist, you can, you know, decap his teammates, so it doesn't even matter if he rushes. So it is actually pretty useful regardless. The fact that his signature move is going to hit 3 attacks means 3 chances at potentially proccing as well off of turn 1. You can use that against any character out there. It can be against Vance, turn 1, 3 proc chances. He doesn't have a reduction to crit chance, and that means you have got a better chance of actually being able to land the crosshairs. The second crosshairs is on a character like him, take him out, and he's down for good, which is great. Now, this is where it gets a bit special on this character, mainly because he is a battle pass character and he's going to have something very special in his hands, and it's going to be Duck's Savage P90. It has got a 35% attack boost, a huge bonus to AP when attacking, double attack when attacking, a 50% chance to make a second attack for 100% damage, and in the last slot, it's attack up, give 20% attack to this character and all adjacent teammates. What's so good about this is because the third slot is uncraftable for alert characters and can only be crafted for tough characters, but I believe the one that's crafted for tough characters is 35% chance to actually happen. I think maybe the second attack does a little bit more damage. I think it's like 150% damage, but it has less chance to proc. But by the fact that he's an alert character and he can now double attack, that means that signature move has a very good chance to hit at least one of those 3 attacks as a double attack, maybe 2, maybe every now and again all 3, which is going to be really, really fun. So it's going to basically potentially turn that 450% signature move into a 900% turn 1 signature move. Nasty. In that 4th slot, he has, I think, got exactly the same 4th slot here as Ghost, and it is basically an improved or slightly altered version of 1535, where it's not giving any crit bonuses, but it's giving pure attack bonuses. And this is going to be mainly good for the fact that Telltale doesn't need any crit bonuses off the first few turns if they have got Clementine in the team. And if you put him adjacent to a damage dealer, i.e. Kenny, Kenny's going to get a big attack boost. Not like Kenny needs it, but the more attack, the better on someone who is like nuclear like him. I think one of the biggest downsides of Kenny is trying to get that first turn takedown. If you miss that, just even like you miss the crit, don't do enough damage, it can take obviously a little bit longer to get your rush going. And until Kenny really gets his rush going, he isn't going to be as like supercharged and has a much better chance of being taken out because he has got quite like bad defensive stats. So Duck is being a really good supporting character to his dad in this setup, it would seem. So this time we'll do the signature move just to show you how it works. Before we targeted Garrett and he did 3 separate attacks and didn't manage to take him down. Now we've got his attached weapon in his hand, so he has a chance to actually double attack, and we'll see how many times he actually hits the double attack. We're going to do the signature move. He's going to double attack once. He did double attack once, and you can see the difference. He's obviously going to be able to take the character down in this scenario, but the potential to double attack twice or 3 times, I think that's going to be quite exciting, you know? Will I double attack once? Will it be twice? Am I going to get that like special 3-time double attack? And just see him kind of just go off. Very fun for sure. And obviously quite an easy weapon up to upgrade. You just do 5% attack upgrades and it will be fully maxed out, 50% attack. And that is what I would do to it for sure. So this was Gold Mythic Duck. And like I said, he is going to be the next character coming to the Mythic Battle Pass. Mythic Battle Pass Season 11, which will be a Telltale Battle Pass effectively. Do stay tuned for more information on the Battle Pass itself. But do give me your thoughts in the comments down below about the character that's going to be involved. What do you think about Duck's kit? Are you happy to see there be a Telltale character in a more accessible area of the game? Any thoughts at all about the Telltale Allegiance or Duck, like I say, please leave them in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.